All right, thank you very much. And we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. So before we actually dive into roll call and our business, I just wanted to really quickly ground us again in our mission here at Equip. We had an excellent discovery night on Tuesday. For those of y'all who were able to join us, actually everybody here was able to be there. So thank you so much for being there to join in that excitement. It was so cool to see all of those families. Hey, Alejandra and Little. But I had a really cool conversation with a parent. She was there with her son, Asher, who is in kindergarten now. And I asked her what it was that drew her to Equip. And she told me that Asher loves math. And where he is right now, he's not being challenged. And she really wants to see him just be challenged, continue to excel in math and have that experience that he's not getting. And that was just such a cool reminder, I think, of what it is that we're here to do, because it's not just about supporting that growth in learning, but nurturing that love of learning as well. And so we have this huge opportunity before us and a responsibility to help make sure that Asher doesn't become one of those people who unfortunately is afraid of math, feels like he's not a math person because he is. So I think that's just a really great reminder. And I did want to really quickly just read our mission to you again. I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat for all of my fellow visual learners. But remember that here at Equip, our, our mission is to provide a top-tier inquiry-based college and career education. Equip Academy of New Mexico ensures K to 5 students master the knowledge and skills to dream audaciously, engage deeply, and pursue a life of purpose. So that was a really just energizing way for me to start this week. And I think it's just a great reminder of what it is that we're here to do as a governing board. So with that, and now that Alejandra is here, I think we can go ahead and call roll. Would you still like me to call roll, Ale? I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Yes, please, Sarah. Sorry.
Sure, no worries. So Sarah is here, James,
Present.
Janet,
Here.
Mike,
Present.
Alejandra,
Present.
and Mary is absent, but she may be joining us soon. Okay, and we also have our guests. We have our head of school, Kat. We have Savannah. I don't see Owen on here. We have Whitney, and I don't see Teresa or Daniel yet, but they may drop in as well. So let's move on to our consent agenda. We have the approval of tonight's agenda and the approval of our minutes from our last meeting. So if there is no opposition, I think we can actually go ahead and just move right on. Is anybody opposed?
No.
Alrighty. And do we have anybody here for public comment? I don't think we do, but just okay. So I think our next item is to recognize Savannah and maybe also introduce Nico. So Kat, would you like me to turn it over to you to kick us off there?
Sure, thank you. So today we had four applicants, one of which was a conflict of interest with regards to our anti-nepotism. So that got weeded out. And then the other two were just not ready for this position, but they're applying for possible sub and EA. So we were able to interview two individuals, one of which was Nicolas Alcala, and he did a stellar job, although nervous in his interview. He definitely showed his willingness to help us get to help us get boots on the ground and do some more recruiting to bring those students in. Nico, do you want to tell the group about you, where you're from? Just a little 1 minute blurb.
Hi, good to meet you guys. My name is Nicolas. I go by Nico though, so you guys can all call me Nico. I'm from Rio Rancho, so not far from Albuquerque. Super excited to be started on this journey with you guys, and really excited to get engaged with the community and be able to recruit some students and get it going.
All right. Nice meeting you, Nico.
Good to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And did you also want to recognize Savannah as well, since she'll be moving on very shortly?
Yes, and that's actually in my report if we can wait that long because I don't want to get tears.
Oh, sure, sure. Sorry, I saw it on the agenda, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong place.
I
So
think
go ahead, let's.
so I think it's Savannah's opportunity. She wanted to say a few words if the board will entertain her.
Yeah, of course. Go right ahead, Savannah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. As all of you know, tomorrow is my last day, and I wanted to take a moment to reflect on all the changes I've seen during my time here at Equip. When I first started, the space felt different. Over time, through painting, cleaning, and updates, we've transformed it into a place that feels warm, inviting, and ready to welcome families. Even the small changes like adding an office plant or moving furniture have made the space feel more alive and comfortable. All of these improvements, I feel, reflect the care and vision Kat has for the school. Working here has taught me so much. I've learned the importance of patience and flexibility, the value of clear communication, and how even the smallest changes can make a big difference in creating a welcoming and warm environment. Most of all, I've learned how powerful teamwork can be, even in a small group of two. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize Kat. Her dedication, transformative leadership, and genuine care for Equip have been inspiring. She has a gift for seeing both the big picture and the small details, and her vision has guided every improvement we've made. It's been an honor to work alongside her and to witness firsthand the passion she brings to building this school and community. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been a part of Equip's journey. Thank you for allowing me to contribute.
Thank you, Savannah. I really appreciate those comments, and I'm really glad to hear that you're proud of the work that you've done because we're definitely proud of everything that the two of you have accomplished over the last couple of months. You are so organized, you're so warm and kind, and I know that you've shown that to our prospective families, and that means the world to us. So thank you for everything you've done, all of your work, and for helping smooth this transition to your successor, Owen. I'm also really excited for our board to get to know him as well. And I want to let you know you're always going to be a part of our Equip community. Please keep in touch. We hope to see you back as a teacher as well. So we hope to see you around.
Thank you.
All right, before we get too mushy, Kat, would you like to jump into your reports? Oh, you're muted.
I was trying to get both screens. My apologies. Yeah, she was a stinker. She didn't want to tell me what she was gonna say, so I'm thankful for Savannah. And when she walked in the doors, I felt like Ichabod Crane all by myself in this little dark room, and all of a sudden she brought a plant and she brought some laughter and she brought joy, and I'm really, really thankful for her. And the day's not over. We're gonna definitely keep in touch, and I hope that I can be a mentor to her as she progresses in her education to become a teacher. So she's always welcome in this building. Um, so as we move into our fifth month of partnership, I want to pause and acknowledge the meaningful progress that we all have made together. Much of our focus during this time has been on ensuring that our building needs are addressed thoughtfully and that our systems are developing with both compliance and sustainability in mind. On that note, today is just a day for me to be thankful, even more than usual. I see Daniel popped in, and I have to give him some snaps and claps because I can call him for the littlest things, and he shows patience with me. And Whitney coming in and getting me better organized with the fiscal responsibilities has spoke volumes to my growth and my goal in strengthening my fiscal responsibilities. And again, thanks to Savannah, and I look forward to working with Owen and Nico. So yeah, just if we can give some snaps and claps to Daniel, Whitney, and Savannah for helping me and in this, I think that that's helped motivate everything else in me. Over the past several months, we've been actively working through a prioritized implementation list to support a strong opening for students and staff. This has included me introducing curriculum agents, engaging in site visits at comparable schools, and reviewing their data to ensure that our instructional decisions are grounded in best practices and aligned with our mission. So I'm really happy that you mentioned the math story that you had, Madam Chair, because I do have a meeting on Tuesday with Bridges, who I think we're going to adopt as our curriculum, and comparing the last curriculum that we had planned on using. This one is more inquiry based and hands-on, whereas the other one is a little more algebraic. And we can incorporate some of those concepts, but I think our main curriculum will be Bridges after Tuesday. In parallel, we have continued to purchase and coordinate all items necessary to fully ready the building for daily operations. These purchases have been intentional and focused on creating a safe and functional, welcoming environment for our school community. This is also going to include even more purchases with pickup, drop-off apps that will fit that need. And I do have a partner coming in tomorrow morning to look at our possible playground and what we can do to build something for 4 to 6 year olds. So more to come on that front. Again, I'm also excited to share that all 4 classrooms are fully ready and they're situated. Each space has been prepared so that our teachers can step in and add their own creativity and personal flair. So I'm excited to see that as we're hiring. And this is going to help bring our learning environment to life for our students. So I'm really excited about that. There's still more work ahead, but the foundation I think we've built together is strong, and I'm grateful for the continued collaboration and shared commitment through PCS&M, through again Daniel's help and my mentor's help and CSP. I feel like I'm fully supported in that way, and especially supported by you, my board. Facilities and occupancy. I feel like I couldn't have asked Santa for a better gift. Yesterday, I was able to sign our permit and we were granted approval to move forward with obtaining our certificate of occupancy. This is definitely a significant milestone for our school, and we anticipate that certificate will be issued and displayed on our wall by January 1st because I am relentless. I did call Insight today, and they're going to send their person to the city of Albuquerque in the next 2 weeks when they're not closed. So I'm pretty excited about that. I love that our landlord and Graphic Connection neighbors are actively partnering with us to identify to prepare space for that small playground in the rear of our building. And we're also collaborating with them for additional safety precautions to address and mitigate any potential trespassing concerns. Landlord called me today talking about security that they've hired for, just to keep the property safe, and not just when students come, but given that we're in the building, they want to ensure that we're always looked out for. These efforts are part of our ongoing commitment to provide a secure and appropriate and welcoming environment for staff and students. Again, so tomorrow marks Savannah's final day with Equip, and again, I can't be more grateful for her contribution and critical support. I mean, there was some misunderstandings along the way, and bless her heart, when she was doing inventory, was counting each paper clip. So it's been a fun ride. Owen Alexander will officially begin his role January 5th. This will ensure continuity. He has already worked several days alongside Savannah for transition support and with K-12, who I'd like to give a shout out to, again, in helping us organize what we needed to organize for any audit or any other need we might have in that area. He has participated in the PCS&M conference, and this allowed him to build early context around charter operations and equip systems. I love the fact that he networked, and he's gonna immediately go visit schools after his first day to see how they run their offices and how his role can be best utilized and how we can use him best. As of tomorrow, we'll also welcome part-time student recruitment and outreach coordinator, Nicolas, who goes by Nico. I'm assuming Nico. And this role will follow the established PR and recruitment plan that we developed with Bloomwell and all the efforts that we'll do during the planning year. So we're excited to welcome Nicolas to execute that plan. So that's his main focus, and that we will reach our families and get that enrollment that we're striving for. I love that we're going to strengthen our outreach and community engagement. Financial and foundation support. Equip Academy Foundation continues to support the school by funding the utilities and covering any additional needs related to the public relations and our Discovery Night activities. This support remains instrumental in sustaining operations, and I'm so thankful to have that support, especially as we're motivating our community engagement during this planning period. So more to come on the foundation and as they're getting situated with their boards and everything new. For my enrollment update, our initial meeting with Blumel, we situated, I think, the first week of November. So to date, we have 18 active students who enrolled through the lottery on our website. We have cleaned up our website and we're now shifting to Waypoint. So we should see that go live in the middle of January with that lottery button just blaring. Of the families that I've contacted, of the 65 from last year, or this year, I've contacted 21 of them. 3 of them have formally committed to return. So that adds to our 18, which is 21. Again, our Discovery Night brought in the 9 families, all of which enrolled in our lottery, some siblings, and hoping to get the next one. Last night, I was really excited that I was waiting for our finance meeting, and a dad rang the doorbell with his child, and they were able to have a one-to-one Discovery Night. So they actually enrolled as well. We currently have active social media advertising campaigns in place, which again, Nicolas will start to host more of that. So we'll see an increase in our social media presence. So Blumel reports that within the first month, our outreach has reached an audience of around 200 individuals, indicating early traction and growing awareness. And those individuals are the ones that I guess they focus on them according to the demographics. So it might not pop up on yours if you don't have a child who's within that 4 to 6 age range. Our newly onboarded recruitment coordinator will continue active recruitment efforts throughout the holiday period. So he's starting tomorrow. Nico, I'm not sure if you knew that. In addition, I'm sure he knew that I told him he's coming at 8. In addition, Equip Academy will participate in the first pop-up outreach at the APS Fair on January 24th, and we're going to provide that important opportunity to connect directly with families and expand our enrollment pipeline. All 3 of us will continue to share responsibility in promoting the social media platforms, myself included. I'll go to the daycares, talk to them. I've reached out to several which have family nights that I can go and participate in and introduce myself in the school. I know I sped through that, but I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Kat on any of that information she shared?
Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I have a comment. I just want to do a shout out to Kat. It was one of the best discovery nights that we have had in the history of Equip. And what I mean by that is the families were so much more engaged, and it made it real for the board to see the little chairs and the crayons and all the colors in the classrooms and all of the little school little people things that just made us smile from ear to ear. And seeing that all of our hard work this past year and all the trials and tribulations and struggles that we have been through has now come into fruition, and now we're going to be having the gold at the end of the rainbow from the storm. So I want to do a shout out to you and your team for, first of all, making us feel welcome. Second of all, showing us where we're going and how to get there. And lastly, but not least, is being encouraging to the board as we are one team. And it's not just operations versus governance, it's one team. And I think that's how you made us feel. So thank you so much for that. And we look forward to having board meetings at Equip, so that way we can definitely get in the trenches with you and see how the impact is far and wide, much more than just what we have on this Zoom call, right? We're a community now. It's a city thing. It's more than just people gathering. It's actually a family. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Abitha Stevens. I would not have been able to do this without Owen and Savannah's work. They were like Hansel and Gretel getting everything ready, and it was adorable to see Owen getting the tablecloths ready and getting the food out. You don't normally see that from a young man, so it's cool to see. So they did a great job. So, and Janet, thank you so much for the door prizes. We appreciate you, and the kids were so happy. So I couldn't have done it without all of you, and just the good vibes you all send and the check-ins.
I have a
Thank you,
comment and
James.
question. So first of all, I congratulations just on everything that's going on. I love to hear the updates. I'm really sad we didn't make it to Discovery Night. My son, my husband, everybody loves to go, and so I can't wait for us to make it to the next one. I think it's needed for me to just I think see all of the pieces that are coming together because I haven't seen anything in a while, and that's on me, I know that. But I'm excited for that. I did want to ask, and I'm gonna sound like a what is it called, squeaky wheel or something like that. But I would love to hear how we're crosswalking past families that we had engaged with before to opportunities now to register, enroll, and come to the Discovery Nights. Right. Um, and then I also wanted to make a comment that social media is working. I'm getting the ads. Usually I know that they're working because they pop up on my Instagram. So I think it looks really good. So yeah, if I could just hear about that, that'd be great.
And just for clarification, you mean the families that we had to call to say we weren't going to start, right?
Yes. The
Yeah.
families that we had previously engaged for the previous school year,
Yeah.
and into this one. And I know last time you had told me that there was a lot like they're aging out of the ages that we're registering for, but maybe the few who are still eligible maybe to come back for first grade.
Yes. And Madam Chair, I did share that spreadsheet with you so you can share with the board and with regards to the calls. So you'll see a spreadsheet come through Madam Chair, and that'll show the families I've called so far. So of the bulk of families, as mentioned, I've called 21. Three of them have said we're going to have their first graders. So they're the families that had priority. So they're re-enrollees. So they're already part of our list and they can fill out their application. So three are going to come back to us as first graders so far, and that's just the 21 that I've called. You'll see in that spreadsheet there's some that just won't answer the phone, and I'm literally writing what they're telling me when I'm talking to them. So you'll see that feedback as well. I've had some hangups, I've had some, not so happy with this, which stands to reason, and some are just like, we love our school right now. Thank you for helping us find it, but we're happy where we're at. So at least the majority of them are encouraging in that way. Like, we want to stay where we're at. Thanks to you for finding us that school. So I'm still letting them know that their student has priority if they want to come back to us.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And yeah, I think I saw that spreadsheet come through, so I have to open it up. And then I also wanted to I think just say, I don't know if I had told you guys, but I actually in the last 2 months transitioned out of my previous role and joined a new organization with a new role. And so it's been taking up a lot of my time. But as part of this organization, we actually work in we have a network of early childhood educators because we help home-based childcare providers be registered and licensed. And so I'm assuming that children who age out of those programs are going into kindergarten and first grade. And so I want to offer that. If we can connect you to the people at PCA, it's called Partnership for Community Action. There might be a little bit of like um, mapping, I guess, that has to be done to see where providers are, where families might live, because we do serve the South Valley, but I know we also serve across the state. So just if we could grab coffee maybe in the next couple of weeks and talk about that more, I think that'd be a good place to start with recruitment.
Absolutely. And Nico, you'll see some emails coming from him until Poweron can get his own personal email for Equip. He can reach out to you with under the recruitment email in the next couple days.
Cool. Thank you for letting me know.
And congratulations on that new role, Alejandra.
Thank you. It's
So,
been a really busy time, so I apologize that I've been a little bit out.
yeah, you have your hands full, that is for sure. All right, so I think we can move ahead to those policy items. Is that where we are now, Kat? Did you want to walk us through those, or did you want me to do those?
They have been reviewed by my mentor and Daniel, our legal. So if you want to go ahead and take the reins, Madam Chair.
Sounds good. So this first one here is our lottery policy. I can find that tab that I opened it. Because we are required to have a lottery, in full alignment with state law to make sure that everybody has access to our school because we're going to be so popular that everyone is going to want to enroll. So we just need to have a policy in place for getting everyone's information, processing those, and making sure that it's a fairly run lottery. Did everybody have a chance to read through this? Any questions, comments? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'm Mike Quinn motions to accept.
Thank you, Mike. I can go ahead and second. Do we have any opposition? Okay, if everyone wants to use your reactions, let's go ahead and vote. Ale might have stepped away. Ale, are you there? Okay, great. Thank you so much. We do have an unanimous support for that. So that carries, that policy is approved. So let's go ahead and move to our special education policy.
Hmm.
I'll share my screen as well. Any questions or comments on this? Again, this is something that's required to make sure that we're serving all of our students because everyone has a right to a free and appropriate education. Mike, I see you have some questions in here. So did you want to go
Yeah,
through
well, I
these?
think Kat addressed most of them. There were just some strange things as far as having ages that were outside the scope of what our age group is going to be. But if you go down, there was one, I don't know if I saw the answer to Kat, who was going to be, there was like towards the end, the very end, it was like a director of, I don't remember what the terminology was. Yeah, special education director. Who's that? Is that the sped person, or is that a you, or who is that?
Yeah, I do. I do have my special education certification. So we'll be contracting with JMP to help with a lot of the IEPs and identification and we have a testing coordinator that'll come in. We will have a 1 point FTE special education teacher, but I will oversee as the special education director as well as needed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that was my only other concern was about funding it, but it sounds like, well, certainly we have the plan to hire for that, and I guess whether we have the budget, I guess I'm not 100% sure yet, but so that's to TBD in my mind.
I'm your person for special ed. I'm more confident in that than anything else.
Okay. Hey, that was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions or comments on here that slipped through? I don't see any. All right, well, do we have a motion for our special education policy?
I'll motion to accept the special education policy.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a second?
It's James. I'll second.
I'm going to give that one to Mary. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining.
Hi, sorry.
No, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt or approve our special education policy. So everybody, let's go ahead and use our Zoom reactions to vote. And there we go. We have a unanimous approval from all of our board members who are now present on our call. Thank you very much. All right, so that takes care of those two policies that are on our agenda for this evening. So I think we'll go ahead and turn it over to our finance committee. Any updates from you, Janet, that you'd like to review with us?
All right, so for this month, we have no bars, but we anticipate one coming up either next month or the following month, just so you all know. This month's financial package was pretty substantial if you go out to that link in the agenda. Um, it, a large amount of that was catch up with CSP. There was a October cutoff for receipts, and this should be the end of all the expenses that were not captured in the summer. And you'll see if, as you break down the total amount that was paid for this month, half of it was for rent for multiple months, which we actually pulled as a random transaction, I think 2 months ago. So we have evaluated that that amount is correct. And then this month we pulled the second and third largest transactions, which were K-12 and In Accord, which were also substantially large because it was previous month catch up with CSP. Going forward, we expect that to be more regular than it has been, but of course, there's still some hiccups here and there with CSP to get some of these paid as timely as we would like to see them so we could start seeing trends. Aside from that, there was more learning materials and, of course, the building compliance code that Kat mentioned, but nothing else of note. Can I get a motion to approve the payment vouchers?
It's James. I move to motion to approve the payment vouchers.
Alice seconds.
All right, and we need to get those Zoom reactions. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you guys. That is again a unanimous approval of those payment vouchers. Do you have some more for us, Janet?
That was it for this month. Thank you.
And anything from Whitney that you wanted to add?
No, I think that's about it for me. The bar will be coming. It's with CSP right now for their approval first. We'll put it in OBMS and then get like the official printout for you guys, hopefully next month.
Great. Well, thank you both so much. All right, we'll move on to our next item, which is our 2026 board meeting calendar. You might have noticed we don't have any more board meetings scheduled after this month. So we need to make sure we set that so that everybody can start planning to join. So let me share my screen if I can find that function. So just continuing with the same cadence that we have right now, which is every third Thursday from 7 to 8:30. That seems to be working pretty well for folks. And then we also discussed at the end of our board meeting last month, maybe meeting in person on a quarterly basis. We talked about potentially January. So I would love for us to do that for our next board meeting, hold it there at the school so everybody can be in that space, see each other in the flesh, and have a great conversation about all of the work that's going on. So does anybody have any concerns, questions? I don't think these dates conflict with any holidays, but if I missed any, please let me know.
I am way out of town in this next month, so I won't be there, unfortunately, but I like the idea of meeting in person once a quarter.
Great, thank you, Mike. We will definitely be working to do that. I think, and maybe one thing I could do is add this on here as well, maybe with a different color, but I think that would put us at like January, April, July, and October. Does that sound like a good plan for now for in-person meetings? Super.
Yep.
Well, if these all look good, let's go ahead and I'll make a motion to adopt this as our calendar. Do we have a second?
Mike Quinn seconds.
Thank you, Mike. Let's use our Zoom reactions to vote. Thank you, guys. And that is a unanimous approval of our calendar. Great. So next up, we started to do this last month, so I apologize if this is kind of a rehash. But one of the things that we've talked about doing is kind of brainstorming on expertise that we want to see reflected on our board. So I've created this matrix right here, and actually I can share this with everybody as well if you want to jump on in there. But I've kind of quickly put a small, just a couple lines about who each of us is, what we bring. Obviously, you are all three-dimensional human beings, and this doesn't capture everything, all of the value that you bring to our board. But just trying to capture, your professional expertise, the types of roles that you have in your day job, any other skills that you really bring to bear that are particularly valuable to us here at Equip. Terms, I think that's a conversation that maybe we should have next month, perhaps. But then from there, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you want to take some time, either today, another time to kind of go through and just add any other just experience that you think is missing, that would be really great just for us to have that kind of log that somewhere where we know that we have that represented on our board. But then the next step is to look kind of critically at what we think is missing. What do we really need to make sure that we're on the right track to opening our school, opening a successful school, and then continuing really successful operations as we work to serve our community, and educating kids and supporting our school community. So does anyone have any thoughts about skills, experience, expertise you think that our board needs that maybe we don't have right now?
Charter school experience.
Charter school experience, as in like,
Well, just somebody who has, maybe been on a charter school board or has been involved with charter schools in some form or fashion. I know for me, that still feels like a gap that, none of us have done this before. So at least I'll just speak for myself. I still don't know what I don't know. And, having somebody, I guess to a certain degree, we rely on Teresa for that. But she's not always, at least here in the board meetings and, participating. So, just having that would be helpful to me at least.
I think that's a good point, Mike. That's something that I've been having to outsource lately. So I certainly appreciate, it would be great to have someone who's been here before. They can speak to, that the challenges, where we should be prioritizing things. I think that's a great point. Any other thoughts?
I agree with Mike, but I don't know that I necessarily need the charter part as long as they're K-12 oriented or K-5 oriented in particular.
Oh, good point. Yeah, okay. So you're saying just that educational, okay. I see that.
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean,
think there's
just
some nuances to charter, but I I hear what you're saying.
I think it would just broaden our selection of people if we're not limited to that. Obviously, if it was charter, it would be ideal.
Yeah. No,
Um, I do want to add, I would like another finance person on our board in the coming year.
I'm going to take it in a totally different direction outside of professional expertise and say that it'd be really cool to have another parent of young children. And I wonder, I don't know if it's a conflict of interest, but to open that up to someone who has their child at Equip, who has like firsthand knowledge of everyday operations.
Daniel, is that any conflict of interest?
So a person, no, so you can have a parent on the board, and a lot of schools require having a parent on the board. However, I will I will say that while it's not a formal conflict of interest, it can be conflicting.
Can you elaborate?
Well, a lot of times a parent, so the advantage of having a parent on the board is that they have a greater understanding of the day-to-day of what's going on. Sometimes they get very particular about making sure, for example, that their child's grade is covered, or that the teacher, like if they have a problem with the teacher or something, they come in and the teacher isn't sure if they're talking to a parent or they're talking to a board member.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I personally tend to shy away from having parents on a board. It's not a legal conflict.
Those are
Parents
all
from the
good
same
points.
school.
Yeah.
One thing I would add is that we are by law required to have an equity council, and there are parents required to sit on that. And I think that'll give us some good insights into what it is that our parents are seeing, what they think, we can improve upon. So that's something to keep in mind. We'll be working on that as well, to get that kind of parent perspective represented as well.
And then if I could just real quick, Scott is going to be, I believe Scott's going to be serving on the foundation board. So
That is correct.
yeah, so I don't think he'll be serving on the board for the school. We have Mary serving on both boards right now as the liaison.
And just to add, we do have to have a parent for the audit committee. We just didn't do that this year because we obviously have no students yet.
Yeah, we have no parents because we have no students. But yeah, so both the equity council and the audit committee would have parents on them.
Thank you for that, Janet. Any other ideas for board experience?
And by the way, I will, since I'm started talking now, I will just follow up on Mike's initial suggestion. Um, you know, there are, like, one of the charter schools that I represent, Six Directions, on the board. There are two former head administrators of different charter schools who are serving on that board, and a retired teacher who is serving on the board. The teacher was a district teacher, right? But nonetheless has that kind of educational experience. And then they have those two retired charter school administrators. So that is something where the having people with school operation experience is something that can be very helpful. And then recycling people who've been on other school boards
Yeah.
can be well.
Well, Daniel, you've seen a lot of boards and Whitney probably too. So what do you guys think? What gaps would you see from looking at our brief list of expertise?
Actually, I'll tell you. I think we cover. Sarah, if you can go back to the current membership real quick. That I actually think, look, you've got development, you've got human resources, you got finance, you got legal, you got operations, you got policy. I mean, frankly, this is one of the most well-rounded boards I've seen. And really, like, the only thing that I see that you're missing is somebody with school experience. But otherwise, you guys really do kind of cover the various different stakeholder positions in this, and also, like, I'm really excited to hear about Alejandra's new position, and what she's doing, and like, that just sounds like a really good interface between where she's working professionally and her work on this board too.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you for that, Daniel. Well, I feel like this is one of these things that you can continue to think about, as you're falling asleep and your thoughts are going. Maybe you'll have some more ideas. But I also wanted you to start thinking about people who might bring these, who might be interested. I think this is something that we're going to continue to want to be adding to, just as our needs as a board change, as people come and go, because we're going to be kind of a living governing board as our school opens. And we always want to have some people kind of waiting in the wings as people maybe step away from the board. We want to be able to fill those positions, and we always want to make sure that we have just a strong group of people who are behind the equip mission, who bring really important perspectives and knowledge and skills. So I just invite you to meet over the next, days, weeks, anytime you think about it. If you grab coffee with somebody and you're like, gosh, they would be great, just go ahead and add them to this list. And we can talk about it anytime. Feel free to give me a call too if I can help brainstorm. Because like I said, I think this is going to be kind of an ongoing thing. We always want to make sure that we've got kind of the best members of our community, always kind of, at the backs of our minds for engaging them for leadership here.
And Sarah, if I could just comment real quick, one of the key positions on the board uh is tends to be finance. And one of the things in terms of recruiting new people, not that Janet should go anywhere anytime soon, but is we are required to have a community member on the audit committee. And right, in addition to having a parent. And so that's a good way to start having somebody in the community with an experience level there that starts to be involved with the school some, so that they can start to be ready to cycle in at some point.
I'm going to throw in, Madam Chair, if I can. So our our day jobs, our professional is one side, but there's also passion and caring on the other. So we could have somebody who has 5 doctorate degrees but can't relate to students or parents. Definitely, I would pass on somebody like that. I would want somebody from the HR side that is engaging, that's motivating, that cares truly for what our mission is, because you can't teach people to care. So when you guys come across somebody that really, really gets you, and you can really dig deep in their soul that they do have a lot of love for, and the commitment and the dedication for what we're trying to do, hold on to that. Because in human resources, for every one position, we go through 30, 40 applicants to find the one that cares. So keep in mind when you come across people that it's not just a person, a warm body to fill the position. It's somebody that has the soul to fill the position.
Thank you, James. That's a really good point. And I think capacity is another thing to consider as well. Obviously, people know their own situations best, but if it's one of those amazing high performers who also serves on 14 boards because they're so amazing and talented and skilled, maybe they're not the best person for this, simply because we do ask that our board members be really engaged and committed, and be following through and be an engaged part of our equipped community. So definitely considering whether they have the ability, and also the heart for the work that we do here at Equip. That's a really good point. Thank you, James. So if there aren't any more ideas on that, then I would like to move on to our next item, which is kind of a preview. This is a work in progress. This is going to be our planning year dashboard. Now, at this point, you've probably seen a number of lists and spreadsheets and checklists, and poor Kat has all of these planning documents coming out of her ears. But this is really designed to be kind of a one-stop shop for everything that is going to get us from now to August when we open our doors. This actually came to us as a template from Excellent Schools New Mexico. They asked us for some just planning documentation that's going to demonstrate to them that we kind of have all of our ducks in a row. We have a plan for how we're going to accomplish everything from outreach to finance to staffing to our governance. We have all of these tabs here that you can see. Right now, this has some, I think it's California specific stuff. So I'm going to be tailoring this to fit our needs here at Equip with CAT, and then with the help of anybody else who would like to get involved with this um, big project. So, Mike, I think you indicated you might be interested. I think you definitely have a mind for this stuff. It's very like operationalizing all of these plans. So if you're interested, please let me know. I'd love to kind of put our heads together to make sure that we just have a really solid plan. I think that's going to be helpful for us as a governing board, for having the visibility into all of these important, you know, aspects of planning. But I also think it'll be helpful for our funders who want to know where we are. That's expected. I think that's completely understandable that they want to know that we're on top of everything. We know what's next. We know how to prioritize, how to, set aside things that really don't need to be addressed and are just noise right now. And Kat, my hope is that this will help you relax too. I know you've got so many different, um, you know, all of these balls in the air, that you're doing a great job. But I'm hoping that, something that'll help just everybody visualize exactly what needs to get done next, might relax just some of the anxiety around all of the busyness. So any thoughts or questions, suggestions there?
So, Sarah, you and I had a brief conversation, but this is one again where we need people with expertise. Certainly, Kat primarily would be the one leading this discussion, but Daniel, other people, Teresa, of that critical path. So critical path is a project management term, and it just means in any project you have 100 or 500 things to do, but typically there's a handful, go with the 80-20 principle, 20% of them are the critical things that have to be done. You can't open without it. So, I don't know, I don't have the expertise per se to identify what those are, but I think it'd be important to have a category, highlight them, make them a different color, red or something, when we lay that out, and so that we all know they're not all equal. Not all those check boxes are equal. And so knowing which ones are a critical path would be important. And we need people with expertise to identify those and agree on those.
I mean, it was stressful when we received it, but I think if you just sat here and looked at these whiteboards and all my notes, we could put everything together. And there was there were and are a lot of items that were pre-me that maybe Sarah, we can find some breadcrumbs of when things were done.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's easy to take a look at this and worry that we're really far behind. And I definitely want to emphasize that there's a lot on here that we have already accomplished in the last year. So it'll be, part of this is documenting what we have done, as well as, future planning for what's next. So I think it's just as important to document where we've been, just so we can see our progress. Because I think right now, at least for me, just over the last 6 weeks, getting up to speed on everything, it can be hard to gauge where we are and if we're on track. And so having a way of keeping everything in one place to really visualize right where we are, I think is really important for us to be able to have good governance, good accountability, so that we can really be supporting CAT as we work toward August, which is, I can't believe that's 8 months from now.
Yeah.
But let me make a quick note. I appreciate that call out, Mike, about maybe bolding some of those more important items.
And Sarah, if I could just follow up also on Mike's comment, which I think was very helpful, is that understand that part of what CAT is tasked to do, which is a little different than a normal implementation year. Normally, in an implementation year, you take a look at where we are and where we're going. Kat has to take a look at where we've been, where we are, where we're going. And one of the challenges that she has, and this is it's just kind of a bizarre thing, is that she's been submitting many of the policies that were previously approved by the board and by the charter school division. She submits them to the charter school division, and then she gets pushback for the charter school division. It's the exact same policy. She gets pushback for the charter school division saying, revise this, revise that, revise this other thing. So then she has to go through and figure out, okay, wait a second, like this was a previously approved policy by the charter school division. Now I'm getting pushback and I'm having to revise things. And so it's like, in some sense, it really would be easier to just figure out where we are and where we're going, as opposed to where we were, where we are, and where we're going. It does add a little bit of complexity to where Kat's at. I think Mike is correct that it's good for us to pay attention to the dashboard and figure out where we are to make sure we're at the right place. And I think, you know, Savannah's done a lot of that work. Owen's going to be picking up where Savannah was in terms of helping to support that. But there's a little bit of added chaos or complexity in terms of that, because they're trying to realign where we've been to where people are saying we should have already been, that we may not be at right now, if that makes sense.
Daniel, is there any way to influence that? I mean, do you feel that's a bit of a, like, we're going to make you suffer a little bit because of what happened, or where's that coming from? And is there
I
any
mean,
way?
it is a little bit bizarre to have things that were and please forgive me for not having my camera on tonight. But it is a little bit bizarre to have things that were previously approved by the regulator who are now pushing back on the exact same language.
Yeah.
You know, some of that is um, what their maturation has been in an understanding of policies in the last year. Some of that has been, I think maybe they were a little bit busier before and they just said, yeah. And now they're actually stopping to read things. I don't think it's necessarily calling us out specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's personal to us.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good at least.
Yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate that input, and I have been hearing some of the kind of resistance that Kat's been getting, and that's frustrating. So I think that's one of those things, whatever we can do to support her and getting her everything that she needs in a timely and organized fashion, including stuff that, you know, it does seem like every now and then there's still some lingering documents here and there that we haven't put our finger on or that we don't have the right access to. So I think it's really good to be just doing this kind of auditing process to make sure we're able to put a finger on everything that we need. So if we don't have any other discussion on that, like I said, I'll be working on that in the coming weeks. Um, and I'll hopefully have something. My goal is to have like a ready to go operational dashboard by our next board meeting. So I've got some work ahead of me. I'll be working on that closely with Kat and Mike. I would definitely appreciate your input as well. Anyone else who feels like pitching in, I will definitely take your help. But to move on to our last kind of board chair item here is governing board training requirements. And I have, here we go. Let's see. This might look familiar. We did get this a couple of months ago from CSD. So I think there is at least one training hour that has already occurred that is not reflected in here. So if you were at that finance training a month or two ago, just know that. But just as a reminder, each of us is required to complete 5 training hours this year, one in each of these areas. James, you are killing it, but the rest of us have some progress. And I just want to call this out because we are now about halfway through the fiscal year. So we have to complete this training by the end of June. So just want to let y'all know so you can pace yourselves. I do have, let's see, is it this? here it is. So we have a calendar here. This is what the Charter Schools Division sent us along with that spreadsheet. So you can kind of see what's going on. So the next one is going to be Tuesday, the 6th on effective governance. So what I'll do after this, I'll go ahead and send you guys an email with a couple of the documents that I'm not sure I shared with you previously, and this information on the trainings happening in January so that you can let me know if you're interested. You can put that on your calendar, and then I'll go ahead and get you registered so that you get the link to join and everything. So take a look at this. I'll send you, like I said, an email with this so you can look at it more closely with your calendar and everything. And we can get you on track to getting those hours in. And then
And
remember as well, I think, oh, just one
yeah,
last thing. I think we're all signed up for that dinner at the end of January, which also does count for 1 hour, but I'm not 100% sure how they're applying it, how that, applies to any of those categories, but that will count for an hour. Go ahead, Daniel.
yeah, no, I apologize. Just if you'd also make sure to share the dashboard about where everybody's at, just because uh, when you have to have them in different categories, it's easy to lose track of which category you need to have. I note that nobody has the legal category, for example. But it's good to highlight like who needs what in which category, because there's a couple categories that are fully filled out. And if somebody signs up for one of those, that does no good for them in terms of getting the credit.
Just to clarify on that, so you could have more than five, but you do have to have a minimum of one in each of the categories. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Yeah. So James has 6, for example. So he doubled up. He got 1.5 in 2 different categories. Right. But it's the one in each of the 5 categories that you're required to have. This was actually one of the things that I gave feedback when they were doing this initial idea. My what I had recommended when they were adopting this rule was that which is a PED rule, was that they do it instead of having everybody do one category each year, is having one category for the year, just to make it easier for people to figure out, right? And then like you would have taken in one year five, if they would have done it my way, you would have taken 5 legal in one year, and then 5 finance the next year, and 5 governance the next year. But then all of the offerings would have been in that category, right? And so it would have made it easier. You just take anything. But here, as we're getting to the second half, you got to be really picky and choosy as to what you're taking to make sure you're filling out the rubric correctly.
Yeah.
For that finance training, we need to figure out how to actually log that. And I'm assuming that would fill the fiduciary oversight box.
Okay. I can reach out to them and talk to them about what they might need for documentation or anything.
I think K-12 might need to upload something, but I don't know how we facilitate that on our end for that finance training.
When
Sorry.
I reach out to them to get folks signed up, then I'll kind of start that process and see what they might need from K-12 or from us.
Oh, and Sarah, if you're going to talk to them, just for our information, whatever that dinner is going to cover would be good to know. I mean, hopefully it's a category that we don't have now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Socialization, dinner socialization checkbox. I don't know.
Exactly. The schmoozing training.
Schmoozing, yes.
On the invite, it does say governance specifically, so
Okay.
that might be the category that it involves.
Oh, that'd be good.
It
Thank you, James.
says
I must have missed that.
governance, yeah, govern attendees will receive 1 hour of required governing board training hours and governance for greatness. 10
Perfect.
fundamentals every charter school board member needs to know, a book and a workbook.
So
Oh,
that will help Janet, but everybody else has their governance hour for the year.
okay. Thanks for looking that up.
So that may not serve us right now, but still good for us, right? Good governance stuff is always good for us to have.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think that is actually the end of our agenda. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board this evening? Okay. If not, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will make the motion to adjourn.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Mike. And thank you, Alejandra. All right, if there's no opposition, then we are done for the night. Thank you
Okay.
guys so much for all of your work. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Mhm.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys for the warm welcome. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Looking forward to working with you.
Yes, ma'am. Looking forward. Merry
All right.
Christmas.